And we are back on Open Line here with our special guest. Always glad when Kevin Kennedy is here from the Kennedy Law Firm. We've had a lot of calls. You know, like we always say, those calls, they help you, but they also help a lot of the listeners and the viewers that are out there watching right now. So we're going to get right back to our lines. Very busy this evening. We appreciate your patience. So we're going to Jane right now. Jane, we're glad that you're on the line with us. Do you have a question for Kevin?
Well, yes, I do.
Okay.
It's for a friend of mine. He has an old workman's comp case, but they settled with, the injuries, but they gave him lifetime medical, and now they're wanting to settle the lifetime medical with him. And he's wanting to know, should he just settle with their lawyers or get his own attorney for something like that?
Well, you know, Kevin Kennedy always says, get your own lawyer. Whose agenda are these other lawyers advance? It's going to be the workers' comp company. They have their lawyers. We have our lawyers. Everybody in America has the right to represent themselves. But there's an old maxim at the law school: the lawyer that defends himself has a fool for a lawyer and a fool for a client. So, no, absolutely, I would say get some. And so if we knew his circumstances, we can evaluate that as to whether that makes a feasible decision economically to close the medicals on a workers' comp. We can be paid now. A lot of factors would go into that. They need to discuss it.
All right. Thanks for watching, Jane. Thanks for the call. Right back to the lines right now. Kimberly is on the line with us. Kimberly, we're glad that you're joining us this evening on Open Line. Do you have a question for Kevin?
Yes, I do.
Go right ahead.
Okay.
All right.
I am on disability. I think I got on it in 2017. And a family member died and left me a little money. I mean, it's not going to last very long.
Yes.
But I know if I go over 2,000, then I can't get a monthly check. So when the money runs out, will I have to go back to court to get?
Let me just stop you right there. Over the years, you know, we have people that call in and talk to us. Your particular matter needs to be discussed privately rather than publicly. And I wish I could answer your questions, but I think that this is one that's going to have a lot of interpretation, and you should talk to someone privately about it. But it's an excellent point, because what she's saying, if she gets this money, it's going to mess up her disability, and if we mess it up, will we ever get back on it again? So that needs some discussion to think how, or whether she receives it or she doesn't receive. Is it placed in trust? You never want to misrepresent anyone. Someone can come back and say, well, you committed fraud. We're not going to do that. But ma'am, your situation, you need to talk to some lawyer privately.
All right, well, that's good to know. And we always appreciate that. Kimberly, we appreciate your call.
Absolutely.
And that is
I
great
wish
advice.
I could tell you more, but it's really in your best interest to talk privately.
Absolutely. And you'll always tell the callers when it is something that you need to talk talk about in privately. So we always appreciate that authenticity. All right, we're going back to the lines right now. Jane is on the line with us. Jane, good evening. Do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
Question.
Okay, go ahead.
I bought a home in 1987 through FHA, and recently I've been paying on it for 33 years. Well, recently I was filling out a will, and someone told me that it didn't matter that I was leaving my house in the will to my daughter. They said that it would go back to FHA if I owed anything at all on it.
Okay, let me explain that. If you're paying on it, if you have it paid for, you can leave that home to anybody you want to. If I paid on it 33 years and I owed $25,000, if the home is worth $150,000, you know you can leave it to anyone. Now, the truth is that secured creditor is entitled to be paid, so they have a lien. So for her to clear that lien up, she needs to continue to make those payments or pay them off. So they can't just take her home. But of course, if you left it to a child, they're totally irresponsible. They never paid the tax. They never made the payments. What's going to happen? That mortgage company will foreclose and they will take it.
All right, great to know, though. So really good to know. All right, thank you, Jane, for that call. We're going back to the lines right now. And Roberta is with us. Roberta, good evening. And do you have a question for Kevin? Roberta, you're on.
Hey, thank you for taking my call. I got a real estate question for you.
All right, let's hear it.
Yeah, okay. I'm a homeowner of a condo and of 16 years here in Davidson County. And last year they had an assessment right out of the blue. They assessed us $6,000 in April, and they said, well, you can pay it all up front, or you can make a 3-year payment of $160 a month. And it's going to repair the outside, the siding, and the project was supposed to start in September. Well, one of the homeowners here found out that that the contractor wasn't licensed, and that the board members or the contractor was overcharging like $300,000 on it, and so the management company, Gertner, just all of a sudden resigned. So we got another management company in August, and the project was supposed to start in September. And so going forward this year, nothing has been done, and we're not getting any information about what's going to be done or who the new contractor is with our new property manager, which is David Floyd. And so do I still have to make the monthly payment to the assessment? Because
Okay.
I've heard a lot of homeowners here are not paying it, but I don't want to get in trouble,
It's good.
if I don't pay it.
First off, you need your own lawyer to read any documentation regarding that whole legal association. And they'll make a determination if what you've signed or the agreement when you bought it is binding. If there's some gray area, they can dance out of it. One of the things about getting a lawyer, they have the ability to write this management company. Tell us, you always have the right to file a complaint with the Tennessee Real Estate Commission. And we have people that are employed through the state to investigate to make sure there is no fraud and that people are being ripped off. Anytime someone's ripping somebody off, that is against public policy, and somebody in the government is going to be held accountable for that, and they'll hold somebody accountable.
All right, so she should get her own lawyer for that.
Yes.
So, okay, good to know. Roberta, thanks for that call. I know that was helpful. All right, right back to the lines right now. So Davidson is on the line with us. Davidson, we welcome you to Open Line. Do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
A question.
Okay,
All
go
right.
ahead.
I got a divorce about 3 years ago, and it kind of caught me off guard, and I wasn't prepared, and I believed what I had been married for 22 years, so I believed what my ex-husband was telling me, and I did
Hello.
not get representation.
Come on now. Tell the audience. You made a mistake, didn't you?
Oh, I totally made a mistake. And I knew at the time I was making a mistake, but I didn't really care. I just wasn't in a condition to care.
I do understand that too, ma'am.
I mean, I was a puddle on the floor. Well, I didn't even really know how much I was getting robbed until now.
Yes.
It's been 3 years. And I've been to a few attorneys, but they said I've waited too late. Is that correct?
Well, again, the squeaky door gets the old, you have so many things to talk about in the, I did more divorces than any lawyer in the nation during the Persian Gulf War. I'm right outside Fort Campbell, went across the Associated Press, and I did the Oprah Winfrey Show. The reason I even bring that up, I remember that the emotional devastation was so much, people could not rationalize what to do, and you're brokenhearted, and so I can clearly understand what you're going through, ma'am. I will never say never, because if there was fraud involved in that, then you could try to stretch it, and they're gonna ask you, when did you determine this and why, and did you ever seek anyone else? They're going to argue that you have waited too long. We already know that. They'll say you're outside your 1 year. You should have appealed it. But there's still lots of laws that you might take a chance. And remember this: if there's a pot of gold at the end, someone is going to pursue it. It reminded me back on that other question we heard a little earlier. Chuck, we said if you had the gun in your car and somebody stole and 6 people were killed and you were known as a multimillionaire, do you think some of those 6 families are going to sue you?
Absolutely.
And so that's the same theory that we have here. Remember, your husband may be afraid of these allegations, your ex-husband, and he might be willing to negotiate with you. there's always an idea. People say, well, you can't do that. Don't tell me what you can't do. Tell me what you can do.
All right, good to know. So, Davidson, I think that'll help you out. So I'm glad that you called in this evening. All right, back to the lines right now. Kate is on the line with us. Kate, we appreciate your patience. We appreciate you calling in. And you have a question for Kevin.
Yes, I do. Thank you for taking the call. I'm trying to find out if someone that has been accused of a crime against a minor in a sexual nature, if they have a recourse to be able to get some kind of mental health services, because they more than likely will have to spend some time for this, and I was just wanting to know if a chance they could get some mental health services before the fact, or what
Yes.
they have to do in regard to that.
Well, one of the things that when you have a problem like this, you can always research, hire a lawyer, or discuss it. Many times they would make that as possible some restitution if there were criminal charges. We also have what's known as a Victim Compensation Act in the state of Tennessee, where there may be some funds available for some mental health counseling. And I always tell people, try to identify these issues, find out what resources are available, and many times there are. So if this is the circumstance, ma'am, I tell you just to keep knocking and looking and searching and talking to the state. There's going to be some available, especially when they're a minor.
All right.
Something available.
So thank you for calling in, Kate. Hope that helps. And we go to the lines right now. Tom is on the line with us. Tom, we are glad that you're with us this evening on Open Line. Do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
Comment and question both.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, Kevin, thanks for being here.
Thank you for calling.
You're welcome. Recently, my wife's sister died, and 6 years prior to her death, she had made my wife joint owner of her checking and savings accounts.
Yes.
And about a year before her death, she became alienated with my wife, and she had a female caretaker and a male boyfriend who made friends with her, and they talked her into, we believe they talked her into changing her will.
Yes.
To where it would be 5 parts, and they would be 1 and 2 of those 5 parts. And I wanted to know if my wife, what recourse she has as far as a savings and checking account, as far as getting money out of the bank. Would she be able to do that?
Here's what we would go back and look at the documents. Everyone, when they have their mind, has the ability to place a family member or friend on your checking account. How did they set it up? Does it say Kevin and Chuck with the right of survivorship? By operation of law, when I died, he survived, so he got it. And again, we need to look at those specific documents. I could also put things in place, and I can revoke those things. I can write a will today, say I'm going to leave this home in 331 Sequoia Lane in Clarksville to my friend Chuck, and then Chuck double crosses me in a business deal. I said, Chuck, we were great friends. Write a new will and take that and give it to somewhere else. And so anytime there is a will, people have, as long as they have their mind, they can change. You know what you said about undue influence? We hear it all the time. Protect your family members. You know, someone comes in and says, well, when Mama dies, we got the farm. We're going to get all the money that Daddy left Mama. Well, then they get a health care provider, and they say, well, why don't me and you just go do this? And they get the money. What do? We bring lawsuits. Undue influence. You know, no one in their right mind would take their family that they love and give all their life savings to a person they've only known a few months. Undue influence.
Good to know. All right, so thanks so much for that call, Tom. We've got a lot of you on the line with us. We are glad that you're calling in on Open Line tonight. It's Ask an Attorney, one of our most popular open lines that we do. We do need to take a short break. When we come back, though, we'll get back to those calls as fast as possible, so come on back with us.